The edge of the star system was quiet, almost too quiet. The vast emptiness stretched out endlessly, dotted with faint glimmers of distant stars. On the bridge of the U.S. Invincible Asterisk, Captain Liam Carter stood tall, his sharp eyes scanning the view screen ahead. The ship hummed softly beneath his feet, a constant reminder of the power it carried. It was Earth's most advanced battleship, a symbol of human ingenuity and strength. But today, that strength would be tested. Behind him, Lieutenant Ava Monroe sat at her station, her fingers dancing over the controls as she monitored the ship's sensors. She was young but brilliant, known for her quick thinking in tense situations. Her dark hair was pulled back into a tight ponytail, and her expression was focused. "Captain," she said, breaking the silence, "we're approaching the outer rim of the Zenari-controlled sector. Sensors show no immediate threats, but I'm picking up faint energy signatures from one of the moons." Liam nodded, his jaw tightening. The Zenari were not to be underestimated. They were an alien race with technology far beyond anything humanity had seen before. Their weapons were devastating, and their tactics ruthless. For weeks, rumors had spread about a new weapon they were developing, a weapon capable of destroying entire planets. If those rumors were true, Earth itself could be in danger. That was why the Invincible Asterisk was here, to find the weapon and stop it before it could be used. "Stay sharp," Liam ordered, his voice calm but firm. He turned to Chief Engineer Daniel Brooks, who stood nearby. "How are the shields holding up?" Daniel wiped sweat from his brow and gave a thumbs up. "Shields are stable, Captain, but we've still got some damage from the last skirmish. If we take another hit like that, we might not recover so easily." Before Liam could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. Red lights flashed, and the crew scrambled to their stations. Ava's hands flew over her console as she analyzed the incoming data. Multiple contacts detected. "They're coming in fast. Zenari fighters. Battle stations." Liam barked, his voice cutting through the chaos. The crew sprang into action, their training kicking in. The Invincible Asterisk shuddered as the first wave of enemy fire slammed into its shields. Sparks flew from consoles, and the lights flickered, but the ship held steady. Ava's voice rang out above the noise. "Enemy fighters are attempting to flank us, Captain. I recommend evasive maneuvers." "Do it," Liam replied without hesitation. The ship banked hard to the left, narrowly avoiding a barrage of plasma bolts. Ava coordinated counterattacks, guiding the gunners as they fired back at the swarming fighters. Explosions lit up the void of space as several Zenari ships were destroyed, but more took their place. The battle was fierce, and the crew fought with everything they had. On the engineering deck, Daniel worked tirelessly to keep the ship running. Panels sparked around him, and smoke filled the air, but he didn't stop. "Come on, hold together," he muttered under his breath as he rerouted power to the failing shield generators. Back on the bridge, Liam gripped the railing, his knuckles white. He watched as the battle unfolded, his mind racing. This wasn't just about survival. It was about protecting humanity. Every decision he made here could mean life or death for billions of people back on Earth. Finally, after what felt like hours, the Zenari fighters began to retreat. The Invincible Asterisk had taken heavy damage, but it was still operational. The crew let out a collective sigh of relief, though their faces remained grim. They had won this round, but they all knew the fight was far from over. As the ship drifted into a safer orbit, Liam turned to Ava. "Good work, Lieutenant, but this is only the beginning. We need to find that weapon, and fast." Ava nodded, her expression resolute. "We'll find it, Captain, no matter what it takes." And with that, the Invincible Asterisk prepared for the next phase of its mission, knowing full well that the real challenge lay just ahead. The U.S. Invincible floated silently in the shadow of a barren moon, its hull scarred from the earlier battle. The crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage while Captain Liam Carter paced the bridge, his mind racing. The ambush had been unexpected, and it left him uneasy. The Zenari were known for their cunning, and this attack felt like more than just a random strike. There was something they weren't seeing, something bigger. Lieutenant Ava Monroe sat at her station, staring intently at her screen. She had been analyzing the energy signatures detected earlier, piecing together fragments of data. Her brow furrowed as she leaned closer. "Captain," she said suddenly, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of activity on the bridge. "I think I found something." Liam turned to her, his attention sharp. "What is it?" "The energy readings are coming from a structure on the surface of the moon. It's faint, but it matches patterns we've seen before, patterns associated with Zenari weapons development." Ava hesitated for a moment, then added, "If this is what I think it is, it could be the Eclipse Cannon." The room fell silent. The Eclipse Cannon was the weapon they had been sent to find, a superweapon capable of wiping out entire planets. If the Zenari had completed it, Earth would be in grave danger. Liam clenched his fists, his jaw tightening. "We need to know for sure," he said finally. "Prepare a recon team. We're going down there." Ava nodded and began organizing the mission. She knew it would be risky, but they couldn't afford to wait. Private Ethan Cole, a Marine with a reputation for bravery, volunteered immediately. Together, they assembled a small team equipped with scanners, weapons, and enough supplies to last a day. As they prepared to leave, Dr. Emily Grant approached them, holding a small device. "Take this," she said, handing it to Ava. "It's a portable analyzer. If you find anything unusual, it'll help you identify it quickly." The team boarded a shuttle and descended toward the moon's surface. The landscape below was desolate, covered in jagged rocks and craters. The air was thin and the temperature was freezing. As they landed, Ethan scanned the area, his rifle ready. "Clear for now," he said, his voice steady. The structure they were searching for wasn't far. It loomed ahead of them, a massive dome made of dark metal that seemed to blend into the surroundings. The team moved cautiously, their footsteps crunching against the rocky ground. Ava led the way, her scanner glowing softly in the dim light. "This is it," she whispered. "The energy signature is strongest here." They reached the entrance, a large door sealed shut. Ethan stepped forward and examined it. "Looks like it's locked with some kind of mechanism," he said. "Give me a minute." As Ethan worked on the door, Ava noticed something strange. Scorch marks lined the walls nearby, and there were signs of recent activity. Tracks in the dust, discarded tools, and even a few scraps of alien tech. "This place hasn't been abandoned," she said quietly. "Someone's still here." Before Ethan could respond, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. A low hum filled the air, growing louder by the second. "What's that?" Ethan asked, his grip tightening on his rifle. Ava's eyes widened as she checked her scanner. "It's coming from inside," she said. "Something's powering up." The door slid open with a hiss, revealing the dark corridor beyond. The team exchanged tense glances. They had no choice but to go in. As they stepped inside, the air grew colder, and the walls pulsed faintly with an eerie blue light. The hum grew louder, echoing through the halls. "Stay close," Ava said, her voice firm despite the unease creeping into her chest. "And keep your weapons ready." The corridor led them deeper into the structure, where strange machines lined the walls. Some were active, their screens displaying streams of alien symbols. Others were dark, their purpose unknown. Ava used the portable analyzer to scan one of the machines, her fingers flying over its controls. "This is advanced tech," she muttered, "way beyond anything we've seen before." Suddenly, Ethan held up a hand, signaling for silence. He pointed ahead, where faint voices could be heard. Alien voices. The team pressed themselves against the wall, listening carefully. The voices were coming closer. "We're not alone," Ethan whispered, "and I don't think they're friendly." Ava nodded, her heart pounding. They had found the source of the energy signature, but now they were trapped in the heart of a Zenari stronghold. Whatever happened next, They would have to face it together. The team moved cautiously through the dimly lit corridor, their footsteps muffled by the strange, smooth floor. Ava held the portable analyzer in one hand and her weapon in the other, her eyes darting back and forth as she scanned the area. Ethan stayed close behind her, his rifle raised, ready for anything. The alien voices grew louder, their tone sharp and guttural. It was clear they were getting closer. "Stay low," Ethan whispered, crouching slightly as he motioned for the others to do the same. The team pressed themselves against the wall, trying to blend into the shadows. The blue light pulsing from the walls cast an eerie glow, making it hard to tell where the corridor ended and the darkness began. Ava's heart raced as she listened carefully, trying to gauge how many Zenari soldiers were approaching. Suddenly, a group of aliens rounded the corner ahead. They were tall and slender, with elongated limbs and glowing green eyes that seemed to pierce through the gloom. Their armor shimmered faintly, and they carried weapons that looked far more advanced than anything the humans had seen before. The team froze, holding their breath as the Zenari passed by without noticing them. Once the aliens were out of sight, Ava exhaled slowly and turned to Ethan. "That was too close," she whispered. "We need to find a way around them." Ethan nodded. "Agreed. But we're running out of time. Whatever's powering up in here, it's getting stronger." He pointed to the walls, which now pulsed brighter with each passing second. The hum in the air had grown louder, almost deafening. Ava checked her scanner again. "The energy source is just ahead. If we can get there, we might be able to figure out what they're building and stop it." The team moved forward, taking care to avoid any more patrols. The corridor opened into a large chamber filled with towering machines and glowing panels. In the center of the room stood a massive structure, a circular platform surrounded by rings of metal that rotated slowly. The air crackled with energy, and the hum was almost unbearable now. "This has to be it," Ava said, her voice barely audible over the noise. She approached the platform cautiously, scanning it with the analyzer. Her eyes widened as the device processed the data. "It's the Eclipse cannon," she confirmed, "and it's almost fully charged." Ethan glanced around the room, his grip tightening on his rifle. "Then we don't have much time. How do we shut it down?" Before Ava could answer, a loud alarm blared through the chamber. Red lights flashed, and the rotating rings around the cannon began to spin faster. The team turned to see a squad of Zenari soldiers entering the room, their weapons trained on them. "You should not be here," one of the aliens said in broken but understandable English. Its voice was cold and mechanical, sending chills down Ava's spine. "You will leave, or you will die." Ethan stepped forward, shielding Ava with his body. "We're not leaving," he said firmly. "Not without stopping this thing." The Zenari leader tilted its head, its glowing eyes narrowing. "Foolish humans, you cannot stop what is already in motion." Ava quickly analyzed the situation. There were too many soldiers to fight directly, and the cannon was moments away from activation. She spotted a control panel near the platform and whispered to Ethan, "Distract them. I'll try to disable it." Ethan hesitated for a split second, then nodded. "Got it. Just be quick." Without waiting, Ethan fired a shot at the ceiling, causing debris to fall and momentarily confuse the Zenari. The soldiers turned their attention to him, giving Ava the opening she needed. She sprinted toward the control panel, her fingers flying over the unfamiliar buttons and switches. The analyzer beeped urgently, guiding her actions as she worked to override the system. Behind her, Ethan fought fiercely, using every bit of cover he could find to hold off the advancing aliens. His rifle barked repeatedly, each shot echoing through the chamber. One by one, the Zenari fell, but more kept coming. "Ava, hurry," Ethan shouted, his voice strained. He was running low on ammunition, and the enemy showed no signs of slowing down. "I'm almost there," Ava replied, her hands trembling as she entered the final sequence. The analyzer confirmed the override. She had done it. The cannon's rotation slowed, and the humming began to fade. But the relief was short-lived. The Zenari leader let out an angry roar and charged toward Ava, its weapon raised. Time seemed to slow as Ethan turned and fired one last shot, striking the alien squarely in the chest. It collapsed inches away from Ava, who stared at it in stunned silence. "We need to go now," Ethan said, grabbing her arm. The team didn't wait. They ran as fast as they could, knowing the Zenari wouldn't give up so easily. Behind them, the cannon sputtered and sparked. Its activation halted, for now. But the battle was far from over. The shuttle docked with the U.S. Invincible, and the team stumbled onto the ship, their faces pale and streaked with sweat. Eva was the last to step off, her hands still trembling from the adrenaline coursing through her body. Captain Liam Carter was waiting for them on the hangar deck, his expression grim but relieved to see them alive. "Report," he said, his voice firm but not unkind. Ava took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. "We found the Eclipse cannon, sir. It's real, and it's powerful. We managed to disable it, but only temporarily. The Zenari are still out there, and they know we're onto them." Liam nodded, his jaw tightening. "Good work. Get cleaned up and meet me on the bridge. We need to figure out our next move." As the team dispersed, Ethan lingered behind for a moment, watching Ava walk away. He wanted to say something, anything, to lighten the weight she was clearly carrying, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he followed the others, leaving Ava alone with her thoughts. Back on the bridge, the mood was tense. The crew worked silently, repairing systems and monitoring the surrounding space for any sign of the Zenari fleet. Ava joined them after changing into fresh clothes, her mind still replaying the events on the moon. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. The Zenari had been one step ahead at every turn, and she knew it was only a matter of time before they tried again. "Captain," she said, breaking the silence, "there's something else you need to know." She hesitated, unsure how to phrase what she was about to say. "While we were in the facility, I noticed something strange. There were signs of human activity, tools, equipment. It looked like someone had been helping the Zenari." Liam's eyes narrowed. "Are you saying there's a traitor among us?" Ava shook her head. "I don't know, but it's possible someone on Earth, or even on this ship, is working with them. We can't rule it out." Before Liam could respond, Chief Engineer Daniel Brooks rushed onto the bridge, his face pale. "Captain, we've got a problem," he said, his voice tight with urgency. "One of the junior officers, Ensign Jacob Hayes, has been accessing classified files. And not just any files. Information about our mission, our tactics, everything." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Liam, who stood motionless for a moment, processing the news. Finally, he spoke. "Bring him to the briefing room. Now." Jacob Hayes was a young officer, barely out of training. When Liam confronted him, the ensign's face was a mixture of fear and guilt. "I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt," he stammered, his hands shaking. "They promised they'd spare my family if I helped them. I didn't have a choice." Liam's voice was cold as ice. "You sold us out. For what? A promise. Do you have any idea what you've done?" Jacob looked down, unable to meet the captain's gaze. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I thought I was protecting them." "You put billions of lives at risk," Liam snapped. "If the Zenari find Earth because of you, your family won't be spared. None of us will." Ava watched the exchange with a heavy heart. She wanted to feel anger toward Jacob, but all she felt was sadness. He was just a scared kid, caught in a situation far beyond his control. Still, his betrayal had cost them dearly, and they couldn't afford to let it happen again. After isolating Jacob in the brig, Liam turned to the crew. "This changes nothing," he said firmly. "Our mission is clear. Stop the Zenari at all costs. If they're willing to use humans against us, then we need to be smarter, faster, and stronger than ever before. We hold the line, not just for ourselves, but for everyone back home. The crew nodded, their resolve hardening. They had faced betrayal, ambushes, and near-death experiences, but they weren't about to give up. The fight ahead would be harder than anything they had faced so far, but they were ready. As the Invincible prepared to jump to its next destination, Ava stared out the viewport, her mind racing. The Eclipse cannon was still out there, and the Zenari would stop at nothing to finish what they had started. But she also knew one thing for certain. Humanity wasn't going down without a fight. The U.S. Invincible moved silently through the void of space, its crew preparing for what might be their final stand. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the view screen as the ship approached the Zenari stronghold. The enemy fleet was massive, far larger than anything they had faced before. Dozens of sleek warships surrounded the moon where the Eclipse cannon lay dormant, waiting to be reactivated. "We're outnumbered," Lieutenant Ava Monroe said softly, breaking the silence. Her voice carried a mix of fear and determination as she studied the tactical display. "If we go in guns blazing, we won't last long." Liam nodded, his expression grim. "Then we don't go in guns blazing. We need a distraction, something to draw their attention while a small team disables the cannon once and for all." Ava turned to him, her eyes widening. "You're talking about splitting the crew. That's risky." "It's our only shot," Liam replied firmly. "We can't let them fire that weapon. Earth depends on us." Private Ethan Cole stepped forward, his jaw set with resolve. "I'll lead the ground team, Captain. I've been down there before. I know the layout." Ava shook her head. "No, I'm going to. If anyone can override the system, it's me." Liam hesitated, knowing the danger they would face, but he also knew they were right. "All right," he said finally, "but you'll have backup. Take a squad of Marines with you, and make sure your comms stay active. We can't afford to lose contact." As the plan came together, the tension aboard the ship grew palpable. Chief Engineer Daniel Brooks worked tirelessly to reinforce the Invincible's shields, knowing the ship would bear the brunt of the assault. "She's not in great shape, Captain," he admitted, wiping sweat from his brow. "But she'll hold, for a while, at least." Back on the bridge, Ava and Ethan prepared for their mission. They checked their equipment one last time, ensuring everything was ready. Ava's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the straps on her pack, but her voice remained steady when she spoke. "This is it," she said quietly. "One way or another, it ends tonight." Ethan placed a reassuring. The shuttle docked with the U.S. Invincible, and Ava stumbled onto the hangar deck, her body numb with exhaustion and grief. Her face was streaked with tears, and her hands trembled as she clutched the portable analyzer tightly. Captain Liam Carter was waiting for her, his expression hard but compassionate. He didn't need to ask what had happened. Her silence said it all. "Where's Ethan?" Liam asked quietly, though he already knew the answer. Ava shook her head, unable to speak. The U.S. Invincible drifted through the vast emptiness of space, its once mighty frame battered and scarred. The journey back to Earth was long and quiet, the kind of silence that weighed heavily on everyone's shoulders. Captain Liam Carter stood on the bridge, staring out at the endless stars. His mind replayed the events of the past days, the battles fought, the lives lost, and the sacrifices made. He felt a deep sense of pride in his crew, but it was tinged with sorrow. Victory had come at a cost, and he knew they would carry those losses with them forever. Lieutenant Ava Monroe spent most of her time alone, either in her quarters or near the memorial wall where Ethan's name had been added. She traced her fingers over the engraved letters, her heart aching with every step she took. Ethan's bravery haunted her thoughts, his final words echoing in her mind. "Complete the mission," he had said, and they had. The Eclipse cannon was disabled, and the Zenari threat had been pushed back, for now. But Ava couldn't shake the feeling that their victory was only temporary. The Zenari wouldn't stop. They never did. On the engineering deck, Chief Engineer Daniel Brooks worked tirelessly to repair the ship. His hands were raw from hours of welding and rewiring, but he didn't complain. Every bolt tightened, every panel fixed, brought them one step closer to home. The crew pitched in wherever they could, their shared exhaustion binding them together in ways words never could. They weren't just soldiers, they were family now, united by loss and resilience. When the invincible asterisk finally entered Earth's orbit, the sight of the blue planet below filled everyone with a mix of relief and hope. News of their success had already reached Earth, spreading like wildfire across the globe. Crowds gathered in cities, cheering for the heroes who had saved them from destruction. For the first time in weeks, the crew allowed themselves to smile, even if it was fleeting. As the ship docked, Liam addressed the crew one last time. Standing before them, his voice carried both strength and compassion. "We've done what we set out to do," he began, his eyes scanning the tired faces of his team. "But let us not forget why we fight. It's not for glory or recognition. It's for each other, for humanity. Today we honor those we lost, and tomorrow we prepare for whatever comes next." The crew nodded, their resolve unshaken despite everything they had endured. They filed off the ship, greeted by cheering crowds and waving flags. Reporters shouted questions, but the crew ignored them, their focus solely on reuniting with loved ones and processing all they had been through. Ava stayed behind, lingering on the bridge as the others disembarked. She stared out at Earth, her chest tight with emotion. Finally, Private Ethan Cole approached her, his presence lingering in her memory. "You told me to complete the mission," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I did it, Ethan. I hope it was enough." She turned and walked away, joining the others outside. The fresh air hit her face, cool and refreshing after so long in the confines of the ship. People cheered as she passed, but she barely noticed. Her thoughts were still with Ethan and the others who hadn't made it home. In the days that followed, life began to return to normal, or as close to normal as it could be. Memorials were held for the fallen, their names etched into history. Ethan's sacrifice became a symbol of courage, inspiring countless others to join the fight for humanity's future. Liam watched from a distance as Ava placed a single flower on the memorial wall. Her expression was calm now, though her eyes still carried the weight of everything she had seen. He walked up beside her, offering a small nod of understanding. "He'd be proud of you," Liam said softly. Ava looked at him, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "Yeah," she replied, "he would." As they stood there together, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and red. The stars began to appear, countless and endless, a reminder of how much was still unknown. Humanity had won this battle, but the war was far from over. And as long as there were people willing to stand and fight, hope would remain alive. The universe stretched out before them, vast and unpredictable. But for now, they had peace and the determination to protect it, no matter what came next. The days turned into weeks, and life on Earth began to settle into a fragile rhythm. The victory against the Zenari had brought a wave of relief, but it was short-lived. News outlets buzzed with reports of increased alien activity near the edges of human-controlled space. Scouts sent to patrol the borders returned with troubling updates. Zenari ships were regrouping, their movements more coordinated than ever before. It was clear they were planning something big. Captain Liam Carter and his crew were called back to duty sooner than expected. The U.S. Invincible Asterisk had been repaired, its battered hull reinforced, and its systems upgraded. But despite the improvements, the ship still bore the scars of its last mission, a constant reminder of the battles fought and the lives lost. For Ava Monroe, walking the corridors of the ship felt like stepping back into a nightmare. Every corner held a memory, every shadow whispered a name she couldn't forget. Liam gathered the crew on the bridge for a briefing. His expression was serious, his voice steady as he addressed them. "The Zenari aren't done," he said. "They've rebuilt their fleet, and intelligence suggests they're developing new weapons. We stopped them once, But this time, we need to be ready for anything. Ava listened quietly, her hands clenched into fists. She had spent weeks trying to move past Ethan's death, but the thought of facing the Zenari again made her chest tighten. Still, she knew there was no choice. Humanity needed them, and she wasn't about to let fear hold her back. Chief Engineer Daniel Brooks stood nearby, his usual confidence replaced by a quiet determination. "We got better shields this time," he said, tapping a diagnostic screen. "And I've rigged the engines for faster jumps if we need to retreat. But we can't take another hit like last time. We'll need to stay sharp." As the crew prepared for the mission, Ava found herself drawn to the memorial wall once more. She stared at Ethan's name, her mind racing. "I won't let you down," she murmured, her voice barely audible. Not again. The Invincible Asterisk launched into the stars, its destination a remote sector where Zenari activity had been detected. The journey was tense, the silence on the bridge broken only by the hum of the ship's systems. When they arrived, the sight that greeted them was chilling. A massive Zenari mothership loomed in the distance, surrounded by smaller vessels. Its size alone was enough to make even the bravest soldier hesitate. "Scanners show energy readings similar to the Eclipse cannon," Ava reported, her fingers flying over the console. "But it's different this time. Bigger." Liam nodded, his jaw tightening. "Then we don't engage directly. We find a way to disable it before they can use it." Ava volunteered to lead a small team to infiltrate the mothership, knowing the risks but unwilling to stand idly by. This time, she wouldn't go alone. A group of Marines accompanied her, their loyalty unwavering. As they boarded a shuttle and descended toward the alien vessel, Ava felt a strange sense of calm. Fear was still there, lurking beneath the surface, but it no longer controlled her. Inside the mothership, the air was thick with tension. Corridors twisted and turned, leading them deeper into the heart of the enemy stronghold. Ava moved quickly, her focus razor-sharp. The analyzer in her hand guided her steps, bringing her closer to the source of the energy readings. When they reached the control room, Ava froze. The weapon was unlike anything she had seen before, a colossal machine pulsing with dark energy. It was incomplete, but close enough to operational that time was running out. She set to work overriding the system, her hands steady despite the chaos erupting around her. Explosions rocked the ship as the battle raged outside. The Invincible Asterisk fought valiantly, holding off the Zenari fleet while Ava worked. Finally, the analyzer beeped, a signal that the override was complete. The machine powered down, its menacing glow fading into darkness. "We did it," one of the Marines said, relief washing over his face. "Not yet," Ava replied, glancing at the exit. "We still have to get out of here." As the team raced back to the shuttle, the mothership began to collapse, its systems destabilized by the shutdown. They barely made it out alive, the shuttle lifting off just as the vessel exploded behind them. Back on the Invincible Asterisk, the crew erupted into cheers. Liam clasped Ava's shoulder, pride shining in his eyes. "You did it," he said. Again. But Ava didn't celebrate. She looked out at the stars, knowing the fight was far from over. The Zenari would return, and when they did, humanity would need to be ready. For now, though, they had won, and sometimes that was enough. The team raced through the corridors of the Zenari facility, their footsteps echoing in the narrow passages. Behind them, alarms blared and lights flashed, signaling that the aliens were in full pursuit. Ava clutched the portable analyzer tightly, her mind racing as she tried to remember the way back to the shuttle. Ethan led the way, his rifle at the ready, glancing over his shoulder every few seconds to ensure no one was sneaking up on them. "We're not going to make it," one of the team members panted, his voice heavy with fear. "They're too fast." "We don't have a choice," Ethan shot back without slowing down. "Keep moving." Ava's heart pounded as she pushed herself harder, her legs burning with effort. She knew they couldn't afford to stop, not with the Zenari hot on their heels. The facility was a maze of twisting hallways and locked doors, and every wrong turn could mean disaster. She glanced at the analyzer again, trying to pinpoint the fastest route out. The device beeped softly, highlighting a path ahead. "This way," she called out, pointing to a corridor branching off to the left. The team followed her lead, ducking into the new passage just as a group of Zenari soldiers rounded the corner behind them. Energy blasts flew past their heads, narrowly missing them as they scrambled forward. Ethan fired blindly over his shoulder, forcing the aliens to take cover for a moment. It wasn't much, but it gave them a little breathing room. Ahead, the corridor opened into a larger chamber filled with strange machinery. The air was thick with the smell of ozone, and sparks flew from damaged equipment, scattered across the floor. Ava spotted a door on the far side of the room. "That's our exit," she shouted, pointing toward it. But before they could reach it, the ground beneath them shook violently. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber, and part of the ceiling collapsed, blocking their path. Dust filled the air, choking them as they coughed and stumbled backward. Ethan cursed under his breath and turned to Ava. "Now what?" Ava scanned the room quickly, her eyes landing on a ventilation shaft high above them. "Up there," she said, pointing. "If we can get into the vents, we might be able to circle around and find another way out." Ethan nodded and motioned for the others to help boost her up. One of the Marines laced his fingers together, creating a makeshift step, while Ethan kept watch for any approaching enemies. Ava climbed onto his hands and reached for the edge of the vent, pulling herself inside with some effort. Once she was secure, she leaned down and helped the others climb up after her. Inside the vent, the space was cramped and suffocating. The metal walls vibrated with the hum of machinery below, and the air was stale and warm. Ava crawled forward, leading the way as best she could. The analyzer guided her through the labyrinth of ducts, its soft beeping the only sound besides their labored breathing. Behind them, they could hear the Zenari searching the chamber they had just escaped from. Their voices grew louder as they discovered the blocked doorway and began looking for other routes. Ava urged the team to move faster, knowing they didn't have much time. After what felt like hours, they finally reached a grate that overlooked the outside world. Through the slats, they could see the barren moon's surface stretching out before them, lit by the faint glow of distant stars. The shuttle was visible in the distance, its sleek frame standing out against the rocky terrain. "This is it," Ava whispered, her voice trembling with exhaustion. "We're almost there." Ethan nodded and used the butt of his rifle to pry the grate loose. It fell to the ground with a clang, and the team scrambled out one by one, dropping to the surface below. They ran toward the shuttle as fast as their weary bodies would allow, the cold wind biting at their faces. Just as they reached the ship, a group of Zenari fighters appeared on the horizon, their sleek forms cutting through the sky like predators. Ethan fired a few shots to keep them at bay while the others climbed aboard. Ava took her seat at the controls, her hands shaking as she powered up the engines. "Hold on," she yelled, pushing the throttle forward. The shuttle lifted off the ground just as the first wave of enemy fire streaked past them. The Zenari ships gave chase, but Ava's piloting skills kept them ahead. As they broke free of the moon's gravity and headed back toward the US Invincible Asterisk, the team let out a collective sigh of relief. They had made it, but they all knew the fight was far from over. The Eclipse cannon had been stopped, but only temporarily, and the Zenari wouldn't rest until they finished what they had started.